And I know that Garry Cobb, and by the way, we'll look at the wild card weekend, which was spectacular. And I say this to you too. All the games had a differential of 3.2 or 4, I think it was, points outside of the San Francisco game. And really, that game was bad in the second half. The strip sack it started unraveling, but the rest of the football games shows you what playoff football was all about. And boy, there were some amazing coaching jobs. And I don't recognize the Giants team. Let's bring in my friend Garry Cobb from Fox 29. Please hit the like button too, by the way. Garry, that Giant team looked like a completely different ball team. I mean, Garry, deep throws. Daniel Jones, I'm watching the game.
What happened to him?
Garry, I was doing this. Is that Jalen Hurts 2.0? I couldn't believe it. Your takeaway.
Well, he just was on point with everything. The throws, very accurate. You look at the quick reads. He knows where he's going with the football. And like I said, accurate throws. He's got a good arm, but just accurate. There are times where he's throwing the ball where you're going like, where was he throwing that ball? I mean, that's the Daniel Jones, which I was used to seeing, where it's like, what is he doing? But you could see his decision-making was very crisp. He just was very sharp, and you can see the sharper he gets, the better you see what kind of athlete he is. He's a very good athlete. I mean, he's big, and he can run. And, you take him for granted because of all of the interceptions he was throwing and everything, going, this guy's a joke. But you start seeing you got a quarterback. I mean, he was outstanding, and he played as well as any quarterbacks that's played in the playoffs thus far. I mean, he was tremendous.
I couldn't believe, Garry, the coaching, more deep throws, Martindale on the other side, bringing pressure. Kayvon Thibodeau was all over the field. I mean, to me, it came down to how well Jones played and the coaching of Brian Daboll. I'm going to say this, and I'll ask you flat out here. Going into this game this weekend, do you have the same feeling I do? I think the coaching staff, in my opinion, I think they're a threat to the Eagles this weekend. Do you?
Without a doubt. I mean, I thought that Wink Martindale, with the blitzing that he did against the Eagles, he took them out of their game. He just said, no, we're dictating what you're doing. Jalen, throw the ball away. This is because we're taking away what you guys want to do. And he did a tremendous job of that. And then, in the game yesterday, the thing that he was able to do is he didn't blitz as much. He backed off. He said, no. I guess he felt that they would have a better chance against the blitz because then you got Jefferson singled up. That's what they did. Well, no, we are not going to let him beat us. And that's what they did. They took him away, and it was able to really make Minnesota play their game, and they were crisp. The first time they got the ball, when after Minnesota had marched and scored, they answered. I'm going, man, that says a lot. How sharp they were and everything. And then other places you see where they had a design of what they could do. They knew there were certain things they could do. And I got to give Daboll just credit with he knows where his talent is. He puts those guys in positions to do their best, and he makes them look good. I mean, the gaps in their team, he's really covering them up with coaching. And I think without a doubt, he's probably going to be coach of the year.
Well, maybe the guy, hey, we'll get to the guy in Jacksonville in a minute, man. I'll tell you what. But Garry, going into this game, I said this in the last hour. Am I wrong when I say this? I think the Giants are getting better in front of our eyes. And what Eagle team are we going to get rolling into this game Saturday night? And they didn't play their best ball the last month. They've been injured. It's no shade. Yeah. It's what happened. I mean, that's, I think, why this game is going to be a fourth quarter game on Saturday. Am I wrong?
Well, I would predict that it is. I think the Eagles could come out and be sharp enough where it's not. But I don't see them losing a game where they're not in it late. But they got to show up. I mean, they got to prove some things because we haven't seen that team in a while. The team we've seen that we were awestruck by earlier in the season to go, man, these guys could win the whole thing. They could. But now we got to see them. They got to be sharp. You got to have everybody on point. They got to be talking defensively. They got to be sharp. They can't go out and just let the Giants dictate to them what they're going to do. Now, this is where the defense, come on. We got to dictate some things to them where you take something away from them, that they want to do. But you can't just go out there and say, okay, we're just going to not give up big plays. You can't just play come on. We got to say where, you're aggressive sometime, and they've got to be sharp with their tackling. Saquon Barkley is a home run hitter. You cannot let him go out and get loose. And then, Jones, man, somebody's got to get in there and pound him and hit him. If they want to run him and everything, then we got to let him know, hey, this tackle football. So
setting the edges, Gary, is going to be a factor, you think?
Yes,
in this
it is.
Too.
Well,
same for the Giants, right, too? Because they're going to have – but, Gary, here's the difference. I wonder how many design runs because of the shoulder they're going to limit Jalen to, because that takes him out of their offense a little bit, whereas Jones is able because he's healthier. I think that's a thing to watch on Saturday. How much of the game will be open to him when it comes to those RPO runs?
Well, I'm guessing just like everybody else. I'm sitting here and I'm saying, man, I know Jalen is tough, and hey, it's on the line now. Everything is on the line. Hey, you lose, you go home. You don't play next week. So it's going to be very interesting how they call this game. And I can't say that I can go in his body. I know how that arm is, and really seeing him practice. They don't let us really see the practice. They let us see the warm up. So where exactly he's at. And, when they were bringing him back, they have this drill where we runs through this thing and the guys are trying to knock the ball out and everything. Come on. When he was running through it, those kids or the youngsters or the assistants and stuff that are out there doing it, they know. They were just gingerly doing this. They
were hitting him with a feather.
Hey, they knew. They did not want to be the one, to hit him or something and hurt it more or something. But what it showed me is that there was some, they knew that there was pain there or soreness. Where he's at right now, I don't know. I don't know where he's at right now. I don't even know that he's going to know until game time exactly where he's at and if he gets hit, how he reacts and everything. But that's the Eagles season. They got to, that's why I didn't want them to get away from, look, if we have to go to punch you in your mouth and we're running the ball, we don't need Jalen. We will run the ball down. Don't get away from that. That's what they did before when they just went out and we pound people. They can't get away from that because ultimately, see, if he gets hurt, it comes back to where you got to be able to do that. And you got to exert your will on the other team, because if they can do that, then it opens up the passing game. And I think they got the Giants, see, but they got to be able to run the ball and set everything up. They need a balanced attack against them. And, it's going to be interesting to see if they do it, but I'm really interested in seeing what the Eagles do. I think it's more the Eagles than the Giants. Because if the Eagles go out and play at their level, I think it's higher than where the Giants can get up to.
I think they got more talent than what New York does, but
they got to show up, and you got to show up, and you got to really, what it is dictate to them where certain things we're going to make you do. Like, we're going to make Jones throw the ball 40 times.
Yeah.
Hey, we're taking away Saquon. Nope, he's not doing anything. And we're going to make you beat us with your arm. That's
but doesn't this, Gary, set up for one thing that the Eagles are not best at? Stopping the run. They're down in the 20s in stopping the run. So do the Giants have the secret sauce? And I'm going to throw this at you. I think the advantage this weekend, to me, I think the coaching advantage is on the New York Giants side. And to me, the pressure's on Jalen, but I think the pressure's on that coaching staff to put these guys in a position because, dude, this Giants team, they're playing better right now. And if they can't stop the run, I think this game is going to be closer. Should the Eagles win, Gary? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? I saw a 14-point dog give the Bills everything they wanted this past weekend.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you make good points. I think right now there's a challenge with the Eagles because, they know they didn't play good in that game when they played the Giants, a couple weeks ago. They didn't play their best football. They got to play much better. And really, it's the challenges themselves. I mean, do they want to get up on the level they're going to need to get to if they want to win a championship? And that means it's above the Giants level. So they got to go out and they got to play on that level where, yeah, they're playing against the Giants, but really they're playing against taking their level up to higher. So yeah, they should be able to slow down that Giants run game, because the Giants don't have a great offensive line.
No.
So, but they got to go out and guys got to be getting off blocks, making plays. They got to be sharp. And we're going to see just, how good they are. We're going to find out a lot about this team. And this is what it's all about. Everybody's got to come out with their best game now. And we're going to find a lot about the Eagles. We're really getting to know this team. Yes, they did show us some things during the regular season, but now is the time.
Absolutely, man.
Now is the time.
Hey, Gary,
yeah.
Tell me if you think this comment that I'm going to make here to you is over the top, or do you think there's something to it? The coaching job, Doug Peterson has won 10 ball games in Jacksonville and now is going against Big Red in Kansas City in the divisional round. And I'm making this comment. If the Eagles do not win the Super Bowl, I think it's because of coaching. And you fired the guy that could have took you across the finish line because you just didn't want to be patient with him and share the wealth with him. Here's a prime example, Gary. You know the Eagles longer than me. Howie is a master at building it, ripping it down. Building it, ripping it down. Same thing, Doug got caught in that collateral damage.
Yeah.
Is it over the top and over the line when I'm saying this? Dude, you have a coach who's going to dominate that division who could be the coach of the year. He's won 10 games, Gary.
I know. Now I'll say this about Doug is I think Doug is a tremendous coach. The thing about it is Doug wanted to be more. He wanted more power. He wanted to decide how he's going to bring in. See, and that's really, I think, that the thing. The whole thing was regards to the coaches. They were getting into it, but who was going to be his assistant coaches, and regards to player, having a hand, more of a power on who's going to be playing and that sort of thing.
So, Gary, it's okay for Howie to dip his beak in the coaching room, but it's not okay for Doug to dip his beak in the personnel room.
Well, that's what you're talking about right there, and Howie won. And you make a good point in that, here Doug is going down there. What he's done in Jacksonville, I mean, if they find any way to be in the game against Kansas City, it's going to be amazing. But the fact that they pulled that game out, that was that was brilliant coaching. He had to do a tremendous job, to come back the way they did in that game. So, you got to give Doug credit. You got to give him all the credit in the world. And, he makes a great connection with players. He's pulling things out of guys that I don't think they knew they had.
Hey, Gary, I talked to some coaches on that staff down there, and in the locker room when they were down 27, he was saying this: it's not about winning the game. It's about winning the moment. Win the moment. Win the series. Win the play. Don't worry about the game. Don't worry about win the moment. We'll get another moment. Get a 3 and out. Let's worry about being the best we can for the next 3 minutes. Then add another 3 minutes on. And then before you know it, you're on a roll again. And the thing you tell me you're around him all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, he just seems believable.
Well,
like you believe him.
That's the thing is he connects with players to where they believe. He gets them believing. I mean, he does just a great job. And you know what? He knows how to connect with the different guys, from having been in the league, about how to connect with certain players, that he'll study guys as to how to connect with them. And he's not a heavy tone. He's not heavy on it. He's heavy when he needs to be. He might call a guy in when he sees the guy getting outside of the guy that he needs him to be. But for the most part, he's delicate about his advice, and he gets guys wanting to enjoy it, meaning they're enjoying playing. They're enjoying, the contributions they're making. And of course, he gets them to believe. They start believing, and that's what it's all about. I mean, that's what coaching is. And now, as things have changed more and more, you can't be too heavy-handed on guys, or you lose some of them. And he's not too heavy. He's light. But the big thing he does is he gets them all believing, man, and they're enjoying it, and they're believing, and he does a great job of that, and you got to give him credit for it because he's done some amazing things. I mean, just with that, I mean, for them to come back and win that game and to take the Eagles to the Super Bowl the way he had, he's got a special talent in a certain way, and I believe it's with that connection with the players. He does a great job of that.
You know what, Gary? To me, the playoffs look like the most important thing you can have is momentum. And it just like, the Giants got on a momentum.
Yeah.
The Niners,
yeah,
they got on a momentum after that
Yes.
strip sack
yes,
against Seattle. It's like momentum. Oh, you start getting it. That's the one thing that I think you and me, when we look at the Eagles,
yeah,
they've kind of lost that momentum since Chicago. And I mean, this is, like you said, we're going to find out really Saturday night if they can get that momentum. That's were right. On a roll, dude.
They were on a roll. I mean,
they were on a roll.
And see, the guy that was leading the roll was Jalen. See, and for him to get hurt, it changed the dynamics. And so now, can they get it back? How long will it take for them to get it back? It's gonna be a struggling first half, and then they find it in the second half. We don't know. So that is the big thing we want to see. Can they get back and they start having the big plays downfield like they were doing, where, regardless of what the other team does, they counter and boom, it's a big play. The way the offense was rolling like that. And then defensively, where they're getting after people, So that's what we're going to see. But that's the fun of it, man. And the Giants are going to be, they're going to be a worthy opponent, meaning their team that we just saw, they're capable of winning the game. I mean, they're playing totally their best football, and the Eagles are going to have to take it up. But like I said, it's not even about the Giants. It's the Eagles needed to get back up there to where they were at.
Finally here, Gary.
Yeah.
How important, and who do you think and what staff has the advantage here that it's a divisional opponent here? I mean, because that's what makes that's what that first half, Seattle just didn't have enough horses to hang with San Francisco for
Correct.
60 minutes of ball, but they hung for 30.
They hung for 30.
I think it was because it's a divisional opponent.
Yeah.
And now that you've got a chance to see them a couple times on what they're trying to accomplish with the RPOs. By the way, I think Daboll has taken, like I told you earlier, I think he's taken some of the plays out of what they're doing in Philly. Daniel Jones looks like Jalen Hurts. That was a stat line like Jalen Hurts.
That's right. That's right. And that's what he's done. And you see that they have they've just had some brilliant plays that they've drawn up. And even with their receivers, with some of the crossing routes, and it seems like their offense has advanced.
It surely has.
They weren't doing all of this earlier. And I mean, that first touchdown by Saquon Barkley, that run, to get him outside like that, I mean, that was a nice play. I hadn't seen them do that. And
I hadn't seen him blocking the O-line like that, Gary. I mean, their O-line showed up.
That's why I'm going like, who are these guys? I thought we were playing the same team they played earlier in the season. So that's what's going to be interesting. So your points about the coaching, I think it's going to play a game. It's going to play a hand in there. And they've done a tremendous job coaching up there in New York. So they are going to have some plays that are designed that will probably work. There's chances are, because you see they got a great design in some of the plays that they had. And you've got two guys who are really the key to their offenses, Jones and Barkley. That's their offense, really. So
absolutely, Gary.
The Eagles have to show up and take their game to another level. And the whole thing is because if they're going to have any chance of beating the Niners, they got to get up there. They got to take their game to another level. So they might as well do it against the Giants.
You think the Eagles are better than the Niners or no? This kid this kid Brock Purdy, he ain't coming back.
Hey, I couldn't say that right now because the Niners have been on a roll. The Eagles got to get back on a roll. See, Now, if they get back on the road, then, it's going to be very interesting because they could beat the Niners because, I see certain
They've
things.
won 11 straight, Gary.
I know. But, I've seen them where at times, look at Seattle, the way they were able to play that first half. So, they do have, there are times you can be beat, but you're going to have to be on top of your game if you're going to beat them. And the Eagles going to have to be playing at the top level in order to do it. So they might as well start it against the Giants.
Absolutely. Gary, I appreciate it. I can't wait for Saturday night, Lincoln Financial. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Hey, and that crowd better be over there making a lot of noise. The guys need to start yelling now. Get that voice up there. Make a lot of noise.
Real quick, before I let you go, because the next opponent's going to be the winner of the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. Who do you got tonight?
I tell you, the Cowboys have just been turning the ball over too much. I think they're going to give it to Tampa Bay. Because I don't think Tom and them are going to turn the ball over a lot. So I'm going to say Tampa because the way Dak and them have been turning that ball over, if they're going to do that, But I think ultimately, it probably would be tight. But I'm going to say Tampa.
Two important people are back: the center and Villa. Stopping the run, running the ball for play action.
Yeah.
It's something to keep an eye on tonight. I appreciate it, Gary. We'll catch you next week, my friend.
Have a good one.
You got it. That is Garry Cobb. Absolutely. Yeah. We'll talk more about that game here in a minute. I want to look at the weekend games too with you guys. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National